Alright, so take a look at the table we created in the last video. We have got our movie column, genre, rating, and year. Everything looks great except there is literally nothing inside it. We basically built this beautiful empty house and forgot to move the furniture in. So today, let's fix that. We are going to add Interstellar to our table, and to do that we use SQL command called insert into. So please type this: insert into movies parenthesis movie comma genre comma rating comma year, close the parenthesis, values, open and parenthesis, Interstellar comma Sci-Fi comma 8.7 comma 2014. So let's run that. And now if we check our table using the query we learned in the video one, that is select all from movies. Let's just run it. Yeah, there we go. Interstellar is officially sitting inside our database. That is basically what we are tackling today. How to actually put data into the table you create, and once you see how the structure works, insert into is honestly super straightforward. Let's look at the query one more time so it doesn't feel like a random word of text. Insert into movies, movie comma genre comma rating comma year, values, Interstellar comma Sci-Fi comma 8.7 comma 2014. First job, insert into movies. You are literally just telling SQL, hey, I want to insert some data in my movie table. Next, inside the parentheses, movie comma genre comma rating comma year, these are the specific columns we are adding our data into. And right below that we have values followed by actual data we want to store. Interstellar goes into movie, Sci-Fi goes into genre, 8.7 goes into rating, and 2014 goes into year. That entire statement creates one brand new row in our table. So that's it. Now you might have spotted something slightly weird here. Why did I put single quotes around Interstellar and Sci-Fi, but I just typed 8.7 and 2014 as plain numbers? So this goes right back to the data types we talked about in the last video. Because movie titles and genre are text, SQL needs them wrapped in a single quotes. But because rating and years are numbers, we can just type them directly. So you're going to type this so many times as you practice SQL that so trust me, within a week your fingers will do it automatically. Now let's add a second movie to keep it company. This time let's go with Inception. Here are our stats: movie Inception, genre is sci-fi, rating we can give it as 8.8 because it's a good movie, and year 2010. So before I type it out, take a quick look at our first query and see if you can guess what needs to change. You can pause the video and type if you want, and it is going to look like this: insert into movies, movie comma genre comma rating comma year, values will be values, Inception comma Sci-Fi comma 8.8 comma 2010. So let's run that. Check our table again with select all from movies. And yes, now we have got Interstellar and Inception. Our table is actually starting to look like a real database now. Now, technically, you can write an insert query without listing the columns at all, like this: Insert into movies. Values Inception, Sci-Fi, 8.8, 2010. As long as you type the values in the exact order the table was built, SQL will let you get away with it. But personally, especially while you are learning, I really recommend writing the column names out every single time. And I know it takes 3 extra seconds to type, but it makes your query so much easier to read and it stops you from making weird accidental mistakes. Because imagine if you accidentally flip the numbers and wrote this. Insert into movies, movie comma genre comma rating year, values, Inception, Sci-Fi comma 2010 comma 8.8. If you look at how that lines up, we are basically telling SQL that Inception has a review rating of 2010 out of 10, which is very generous review, and that the film came out in the year 8.8. Obviously, SQL doesn't know what you mean. It only knows the order you typed. Whatever is first in your column list goes to the first value, second goes to second, and so on. Listing a column keeps you honest. Now, here is where insert into becomes way more useful. Adding one movie at a time is fine when we only have two. But what if we had 50? Nobody wants to retype insert into 50 separate times. Luckily, you don't have to. You can insert as many rows as you want in a single query just by separating them with commas. Let's add three more at once. So here is the query. Insert into movies, movie comma genre comma rating comma year. Values as we wrote Inception and Interstellar, same way we can write it. Frozen, comma animation, comma 7.4, comma 2018, and close the bracket and you put a comma. Then try to start another movie, that is The Dark Knight, comma action, comma 9.0, comma 2008. Then The Matrix, comma sci-fi, comma 8.7, comma 1999. This might look a little intimidating at first glance, but notice that it's the exact same logic. We type insert into once, list our columns once, and then under values, we just hand SQL a list of rows. Row 1 is frozen, wrapped in parentheses, followed by a comma. Row 2 is dark night, followed by another comma. Row 3 is the matrix, and since it's the last one of our list, we finish the whole thing with semicolons. Now, let's run it and check our table. So please type select all from movies. So now look at the database. Look at the table. We started this video with a completely blank screen, and now we have built and populated a legit little movie database. This is usually the moment OSQL starts feeling really satisfying because you are not just memorizing syntax anymore. You are actually building something useful. Okay, now I want to hand the keyboard over to you for a second. Try adding this movie to the table. Movie, Oppenheimer, genre is drama, rating 8.3, year 2023. I'll leave the table structure up on the screen. Okay, actually, post the video right here and try writing the insert query yourself. Even if you are writing it in a notepad or a scrap paper, give it a shot. Alright, let's see how you did. Here is a query you should have ended up with. Insert into movies, movie comma, genre comma, rating comma, year, values, Oppenheimer comma, drama comma, 8.3 comma, 2023. If yours look like that, awesome job. Sorry, awesome job. If it threw an error or looks slightly different, take a second to see which punctuation mark or quote might have gone missing. Run your select all from movies, and Oppenheimer should be sitting right there at the bottom of your table. Before we wrap up, there is one super common beginner bug I want to show you so you don't waste 10 minutes scratching your head later. Let's say I want to add avatar and I type this insert into movies, movie comma, genre comma, rating comma, year, values, avatar comma, sci-fi comma, 2009 comma, 7.8. Do you spot what wrong there? Look at the last two numbers. I accidentally put 2009 in the rating spot and 7.8 in the year spot. I swapped them. The correct order should be insert into movies, movie, comma genre, comma rating, comma year. Values, avatar, comma sci-fi, comma 7.8, comma 2009. So whenever you are inserting data, don't just check whether you have included all the information, double check your order. Column 1 matches value 1, column 2 matches value 2, and so on. That one simple habit will save you from creating some very coarse database down the road. And honestly, that is everything you need to know about insert into today. Whenever you want to add new data, you use insert into, name your table, and list your columns. Then you use values to pass in the actual data using single quotes for text and plain numbers for numeric data. You can add a single row or stack multiple rows together using commas. And whenever you want to inspect your work, our old friend like the select all from movies is right there to show you the whole table. Notice how the select command from video one is already helping us out here. That is why I don't want you to think of create table, insert, and select as separate, isolated topics. They are all pieces of the same puzzle, and they are starting to connect. So, before you jump to the next video, I have a quick homework assignment for you. And I want you to pick three movies that you personally love, not my example, choose your own. Write a single query that insert all three of them at once with their title, genre, rating, and release year. Run your select all query to make sure they show up correctly. And if you get an error while you are doing it, good. Don't panic and erase your code. Read the error, check your commas, check your single quotes, make sure your parentheses are closed, and double check your spelling. Honestly, half of learning SQL is just starting at your screen, whispering, "Why are you angry at me?" and realizing you forgot a comma. We have all been there. So now we have built our database, created our table, and loaded it up with data. But that introduces our next big problem. What if the data we just inserted is wrong? What if I made a typo in a movie title, or I want to update a rating, or maybe I want to delete a movie entirely? That is exactly what we are tackling in the next video. We are learning update and delete. And remember that workflows we learned earlier in the series, yeah, that is about to become very, very, very important, especially when you are using delete. We will dive into all that in the next one. Until then, actually open up your SQL editor and type out the homework, curious yourself, because reading SQL and writing SQL are two very different skills. Don't just watch SQL, write SQL. So I'll see you in the next video.